Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. I am so thrilled. I've got my boarding school mommy, Ms Trish, here with us, and she's going to give us the gist on how young people in Africa can use what they have to get what they want. I want us to have that conversation now because it's the first week of the year and it is about time for us to start building on what we already have rather than living in an illusion that we're going to have something better when we, if that. So we need to start having these real conversations. I am Sylvie. I'm the founder of the Young and Independent Project, where we discuss all things A plus mindset, personal development, and financial freedom for young Africans by an African. If this is your first time, thank you for coming. And if you're returning, thank you for always coming back. So, Mommy Trish, tell us about yourself briefly, and let's dive straight into this conversation.
Hello, Sylvie. It's my pleasure, and like you, I am really very excited that we are having this conversation. I am also very grateful that, at the start of a new year, you choose me out of every other person to come share on your platform what would be maybe profitable for people who take it seriously, how they can make their lives better in this brand new year, which is still unadulterated. It's a template on which they can write whatever they want to write in order to get the outcomes that they so desire. So it is my pleasure being here. And I think that in the course of this conversation, we are going to be sharing ideas that definitely will shift the needle on the gauge of the lives of those who listen and who act on what they are going to be listening and hearing. Okay, my name is Marie Therese, otherly known as Trish. I am a teacher, I am a mother, I am a coach, I am a mentor, I am a counselor. My former job, I work as an administrative assistant on a government project in the Ministry of Health here in Bamenda, and I live in Bamenda. So apart from that, I am also a businesswoman. I make hats and fascinators for ladies and other bridal accessories. So in a nutshell, that is who I am.
Wow. You wear all the hats and do all the things. I love it. I love me some entrepreneurial women. I always say that there's nothing as sexy, nothing on planet Earth as sexy as a woman who is financially independent. It is the best thing that can happen to the whole wide world. So I love that. And that's why I feel that we have a lot in common. And I'm really honored that you're here today. And I can't wait for us to start talking about all these amazing things that young people can tap into. So, Mommy Trish, the last time we had a conversation, you said some things that really marked me. And one of the things that you said, you were like, Sylvie, but you went to a boarding school which was commercial education. Some of your mates went through that same school and they're looking for work like forever. They keep saying, there's no work, the country is corrupt. And you said, well, if everyone is trying to work, who is going to create the jobs? Why can't they use what they already have, that knowledge, that exposure, that experience that they have from their boarding school days to start doing bookkeeping for corner shops around their neighborhoods? And the more bookkeeping they can do, the more they can earn. And if they can charge as little as 10,000 CFA, which is an equivalent of $20 per client to keep their books, then they can eventually have a good take home pay, or at least something that they can take home to care for their needs. So can you please drill on that a little bit? Because that's where I want to start.
Now, the thing is that some of us, because I also went to a boarding school, some of us enjoyed I'll call it a privilege of enjoying holistic education, which means that, or which implies that we did not just go to school to pass exams, whether public exams or local exams. Now, the thing is, leaving home and going to a place where you do not just interact with kids from other homes for 8 hours a day, as it would be the case with students who go to day schools, and which 8 hours is really much. But then you have to spend 8 months of the year with these people coming from varied backgrounds, having different kinds of experiences, different ways of life. I think that it puts these learners ahead of others naturally. Now, that may be a privilege, but even the students who did not really go to boarding schools, who went to school and interacted, they moved out from their family circles and were projected into a larger space with people, different inclinations and everything. That alone should predispose them to thinking differently. Now, the country is in a worrisome state, that is clear. But are we going to die with the country? The obvious truth is, God had us in mind before having this country in mind. Because the boundaries of this country are man-made, you understand? We could have been a united Africa. We could have been a united world without boundaries. But because of man's thinking, they decided to set boundaries, probably for management, which is a good thing. But then we found ourselves here. And so it is humanity that sustains a nation and not the other way around. It is humanity that sustains a nation, that sustains the world. And so if we as humanity, we do not step back and understand that it is our individual responsibility that would become collective in order to make our living space more conducive, then we are really taking our lives in the reverse. So that is why I believe that having gone through school, I mean, if your parents have tried and sent you through school, even for 7 years, post-primary, that would be, at least you have an advanced level certificate.
Absolutely.
And you are sent most of the times, children who are at that age, maybe between 17 and 18, maybe even up to 20, they have to move out from home and go to a university environment where they start living lives, in quotes, on their terms. So I think that there is some level of irresponsibility if a learner at this point does not want to apply in real life the lessons, the experiences that they garnered while they were in school. Because, of course, in the university, nobody takes, I mean, if they have to take a role, it's because they have to consider it as part of your marks. But nobody really cares whether you wear the uniform or you are neat or you come to class early. So to an extent, your life has been molded, and from there you take it on. So if you have knowledge up to that point and you are getting into the university and you do not think that, added to the other kinds of independences that you are already enjoying, you need to start working in financial independence, then there is a problem. There is a problem. So now, when we spoke, I quoted the example of students from commercial schools because what they do I did not attend a commercial school, and I still think that if I had, then my chances in life would have been better. Because while I taught in the commercial school, I understood that the lessons that you learn in class today, you could as well go out tomorrow and you practice them. And if you practice them, why not? You can make some money out of them. So that is my thinking. Now, the other thing is commercial education. Now, I am not saying this in praise of commercial education, but I'm just saying this because that is the backdrop from which this conversation arose. Commercial education, it is easy to integrate the content in commercial subjects. You understand? Like what you learn in bookkeeping could apply for what you learn in office practice, could apply for what you learn in commerce, could apply for business management and business math and all of that. And so students from commercial schools, really, if they take their education seriously, they are better prepared for hands-on practical life.
It's what the world needs right now. Nobody
That
cares
is
about degrees
exactly,
anymore.
yeah, no. I mean, the degrees, like I would say forever, going through a university just expands your experience on life because it takes you from a narrow place and throws you into what I'll call the avant-garde of the world. That is all the university really does. Because the course content, I could sit online and I learn everything that they teach in the university based on
Right.
what I want to learn. So having that knowledge and not putting it to use as a young person, to me, is a mark of irresponsibility. That is what I think.
Talking about that, Mommy T, this irresponsibility, one of the things that I feel, I don't know what you think about this, but I feel that we need to review our curriculum. Because here in the UK, the number of students who go to university is staggering low. Why? Because they have an apprenticeship program. They have all these opportunities whereby when you finish your advanced levels, it's up to you to go to uni. You can go into apprenticeship and start doing your thing, specialize immediately. And before you know it, you've created your own business, you've been integrated into a company. So what I see here, there's a popular podcast that I listen to on the BBC here, Everyday Hustle. These are young people right at the university creating £1 million businesses. Young people. One of the young guys, he was he started a cooking business. So one of the things that young people in Africa, in my opinion, need to understand is that from age 18, you're already mature enough to start doing big things, to start doing things that impact just beyond you and beyond your immediate environment. And this young man, while at uni, started this cooking this rice. He's an Indian, but British Indian. He started cooking this rice that he really loved, and he realized that his classmates were always out partying, but he was not the party type. And when they came back home, they were hungry. So
Mhm,
what this guy did was that he didn't only share with them, but he said, "I can cook this for you for when you need to eat it."
mhm.
And he started his business like that. Today, he's got different branches in the UK. Before he even graduated from uni, he already had a business bringing in hundreds of thousands of pounds. He started cooking in his university room, selling to his immediate hostel mates. And then
Yes.
the news went very far and people started reaching out. And obviously, we live in a day and age where once you have something on social media, it can catch
It
fire.
goes. Yeah.
So instead of us focusing, young people focusing on, I'm not grown enough, my father hasn't done this, my fee has not been paid. I mean, people are crying. One of my mentees cried to me that her fee has not been paid by her big brother, but she had just failed at the university. That's the first thing. She had failed her degree. And secondly, I asked her, how old are you? She said 25. And I put my hand on my head, like, you're crying at 25 and you're so bitter.
Waiting for the elder brother.
Yeah, and you're so bitter that your fee has not been paid. First off, he owes you nothing.
Nothing at
You're
all.
not his responsibility. And secondly, you're old enough to be paying your way through school. And that's why I'm so proud of Belina, one of my mentees. She said the
Mhm.
first year after she waited for her parents to pay her fee to uni after her A levels, they didn't pay. Thank God for her, she joined my coaching program, coaching group, and just talking to her and telling them that they need to use what they have right now. They don't need any other extra resource to make any headway in their lives. Right now, they should evaluate what they have. She evaluated that she had an A level and she could apply to a primary school to teach. And she applied, she got the job. Now she's earning money from that job and she's paying her way through university. She's doing her
Beautiful.
professional education now. Um,
Brilliant.
B was also in that mindset. I need things done for me because I'm too young to do things for others. After my mentorship, she started a
Mhm.
poetry in Boya. How did she start? She went and did secretarial duties for the GCE board during the previous marking session, and
Session.
she earned 52,000. Started her poetry, sold one chick for about 6.5. She bought 25. 3 died, and she ended up making twice her investment. And she even
Beautiful.
supported
Excellent.
3 other young people in school. So for me, it's not really about, I think it's a culture thing, as much as it is irresponsibility. But I think we need to start having these conversations for young people in Africa to understand that they've got everything to succeed right now. It's a
Right
culture.
now and right
Yeah.
where they are.
Yeah, it's a culture thing. And also people have to understand that university is not the pinnacle of success. No, you can start with your A levels and go through uni while doing your thing.
That's right. Now, the thing is this: the West has sold it to us that education does everything. You understand? That came with colonization. So I am not surprised. And since we are still under the thumb of the West in a lot of things, we have bought that thinking and we are running with it.
Oh my God.
Now, education, like now you are talking, you are giving an experience from the UK, how people have gone back to the guilds and to apprenticeships. Like before you hear about writers guilds, electricians guilds, like societies. Okay, there is something here. I'm happy that this thing is by me. You may not be able to read this. My mom passed 1.5 years ago, and when I was going through her things, I saw this card. My mother never went beyond standard 6, but she was a very industrious person. When I saw this thing, I laughed. What is written here is a registration card for those who sell wood. So she was a member of that association. This is a very weak example, but then let's assume that it was a trade. Let's say a seamstress trade or a carpentry trade or whatever, beautician in whatever industry. What we need to do, because yes, it's true, illiteracy is still a palpable problem in Africa. Now, in this country, what they are trying to do on paper, in theory, is that they are giving out primary education for free. I will still say it is in theory, because they are trying as a nation to ensure that at least everybody has a first school leaving certificate. And they are trying to push that agenda through secondary school by highly subsidizing secondary education for government schools. Now, I don't want us to get to the quality of the education first, because when you started this question, you talked about revising the curriculum, which is something that they have been on forever. And if we dwell on that, then we are going to take the heat away from what should be our attention. Because even the revised curriculum, how well can they implement it? The people who are supposed to execute and implement the curriculum, how trained are they? Because they have worked on the curriculum severally. I mean, for my master's thesis, I worked on something about curriculum and course content and all of that. So I know that maybe even up to like 2017, something was done on the curriculum. But the people who are supposed to teach following this curriculum, they do not know how to manage it. They've worked on methods, teaching methods, and evaluation and assessment methods, but then it's still a huge problem. So what I always tell people is that let us work with what we can manage.
Yeah.
I am not a policy maker. You are not. The policy makers in this country, maybe they are just 0.0001 of the entire population. And so a lot lies in their hands. And if they do not have the know-how, they do not have the goodwill, and they do not have the interest of the people at heart, then they really do not care how policies unfold and how eventually it is going to affect the majority of the population. So now, as the people, as these people who constitute this nation, what can we do? What can we do practically? Whenever I'm having a conversation, especially with people from the West, the first thing they talk about is the fact that the taxes are killing business initiatives in Cameroon. That is a fact. But then there is a saying that when the hunter learns to shoot without missing, what does the bird do? The bird learns to fly without catching, because there has to be a way out. There is tax evasion and there is tax whatever. However, Now, I am not encouraging people to evade tax, but there are industries where you can work, or that you can work and they cannot trace you, they cannot follow you up on taxes, and you can make a clean living, and you can make profits, and you can be financially independent for as long as you want.
Agriculture.
Before I get into that, where our focus is on young people, what I discovered, and unfortunately I discovered that late, was that business, the primary motive of business is not necessarily to make money. Money is one of it. Everybody should get into business out of curiosity, to try to fathom, to try to experiment how creative you can be. I mean, everything that is around you was created by somebody. What you teach in school was based on somebody's thought of what you should know. So when you put these things together, you should ask yourself, what else can I do?
Right.
Yes, what can I do? I mean, what can I call my invention, my own? Even though a lot of people get into trouble in business because they want their business to carry their names. I am CEO, founder, blah, 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 heads of operation, whatever. All those things are good. But if you are curious to ask yourself, what can I use my mental faculties to bring forth? That is something that a child in the nursery school should be curious enough to do. Now, the child in nursery school is not aware enough to know that, okay, if I bring these ideas to light, it may earn me some money. It may help somebody else. You understand? But if you are already beyond Form 4, then you know that in school, somebody prepares gâteau and you buy. Alaska and you buy. This, and you buy. And you have to start thinking, I do not only give this person money, but this person reduces the distance that I would have walked from my classroom to the junction or to the Carrefour outside to get this thing. This person actually brings it into the dining shed. And so this person is delivering a service for me, a service for which I pay, a service and a good. So when you start thinking in that light or in those lines, then you would understand that doing business is not an option. It's just one of the ways in which you express yourselves. When we talk about people there is something I did not say. Anyway, I'll get back to that. When you think about the fact that, or when you remember that you are filled with potentials, and that you are laden, not filled, you are actually laden with potentials. Unless you are dead, like you are really dead and insensitive, those potentials will drive you towards the fringes of what can be. And it's only when you get to the borders that you realize that actually there are no limits. So,
Trish,
yes,
I'm not
please.
trying to cut you short, but you've said something that really hit hard. And this is what I want to add to it before it escapes my mind. You said doing business is a way to express yourself. That's so powerful.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you why. I was watching a documentary, which is like it's a documentary here in the UK, and there was this one guy that really, really came across to me as someone who is perfect to be crowned with this statement you've just made. This guy, his name Prince. He lives in a council estate. When you live in a council estate here in the UK, means you're on benefits. The government feels sorry for you that you cannot pay for your own accommodation, and they give you a place to stay at a discount sometimes or for free. This guy lives in a council accommodation. Black guy, I don't know, he's either from Jamaica or Nigeria, one of those two countries. And this guy was on this show. And when it came to his turn, and the point of the show was it was a show where people came together to talk to investors about their ideas, for investors to put money in their ideas. This guy, he was the founder of a trap kitchen. And what was trap kitchen? This guy started cooking shrimps in his mother's council estate kitchen. Those kitchens are tiny. And he started putting it on social media, particularly Instagram. He wanted to express himself through the way he decorated the plates, through the way he made the food, through the way he filled the shrimps because they were really big. And people started liking. He caught people's attention. Mommy Trish, down the line, that guy started making £10,000 a week.
Think about that.
Selling shrimps from his mother's freaking kitchen, which he started because he wanted to express himself. And his mother said during the show that her son has always liked cooking. And when she saw him putting these things on social media, she's like, why are you putting my kitchen on social media? But he wanted to express himself.
Yeah.
And today he's looking at investors who are willing to put hundreds of thousands of pounds in his business. The guy has grown his social media insanely. He makes all of this money. This is someone who literally now calls the council to say, listen, guys, the a long queue of customers there who are actually disturbing the neighbors from parking their cars. Can you come and help? That's the stage at which he is. And
he is right now.
So deep. Yeah. What you said is so deep.
It is. And you see, how did I get to this? Now, something I forgot to mention in my introduction was that I am the coordinator of a community, Ignite Community. Ignite Community is a community immersed in a larger organization, Teach Connect. And at Ignite, we believe that each and every one of us, without exception, we have something to give. We have more than the eye can meet to give to the world. And we commit ourselves to assisting people come out of that place and walk their path. Because we know that there is a path and there is a you that has not come out. And so, because of that, it got me thinking, what other ways than are obvious can I express who I am, how I feel, how I think? How do I bring my perception of things to the limelight? How do I make my statement? And I would think that most thriving businesses were not born out of, okay, I want to make money.
No, it was more value. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be, how do this thing that I enjoy or this thing that I feel, how can I multiply it so that others can benefit from it? Because in the quietness of your mind, you are benefiting from what other people had as ideas and they have brought forth, and it is expressed and it is manifesting as businesses or as I'm sitting on a chair, it was somebody's idea. I'm talking on I'm working from my phone, it was somebody's idea. I have a PC, I have shoes, I'm wearing clothes, I have these glasses. So if I can benefit from this and I know that I am part of humanity, what am I doing?
Your own contribution.
Yeah. What part am I playing to make humanity whole? So if we are going back to talking about apprentices or guilds or as well, in our context, we say, "You go learn work, it learn work." And the irony is that, but do you now see? Because when somebody goes to a mechanic's garage, and maybe 2 years later, that person is already repairing cars. You understand? That person is already making money. Somebody goes in for a mechanical engineering course, maybe it's 4 or 5 years. Later on, that person comes out, the person does not have a job. Now, this person has gathered a lot of theory in school, but this person does not know how to translate this theory into something better than what this mechanic is doing in the mechanic shop, in the repair shop.
Right.
And so there's this divide between what actually happens in the real world and what happens in the world of school. So in some instances, you will see that this mechanical engineer will be advised to go to the garage and do an apprenticeship course for 2 years from the mechanic who has a first school living certificate or maybe a cap or a back, or at worst, he never had any certificate to his name. So what we could do, because we need literacy. Literacy is still an issue to us. All the theories and all the concepts and all the principles that have been that have been brought up before by the people, by what would I call them? Knowledge seekers, knowledge deliverers. It is so wonderful, because without these principles, without these concepts, without these theories, without these laws, we will not be able to explain a lot of things that are happening. We'll talk about Darwin's theory, we're talking about Newton's theory, we are talking about all these people. But then, how do we apply this to our everyday life? We need to bring it to, we need to bring it to earth. It cannot just be theory. So if our curriculum has to be helpful to us, then we need to have what it takes to make it more hands-on. Because I'm telling you, on paper, it is beautiful. I can assure you, it is beautiful. But what obtains? They'll tell you that, for example, they'll just tell you something like a new pedagogic approach method, which is like an eight-step mechanism or method of teaching and learning, which is more learner-centered, which is more hands-on, which gives children the opportunity to go home and do projects, to do group projects in class and all of that. But you are a primary school teacher and you have 100 students in front of you. How can you manage 100? Maybe in primary school, maybe lessons are like 30 minutes. So what do you want to do with 100 students? You can barely find a place to put your feet. So we are not prepared for the kind of curriculum that we have, because we have a beautiful curriculum, but we do not have what it takes.
Actually, what you said in the beginning about this curriculum thing is really escaping and on extending the blame list on why we are where we are right now in terms of entrepreneurship in Africa. And you're absolutely right. And one of the books I read, the gentleman you're just talking, and I'm trying to get his name back in my head, but this gentleman was the richest at the time in the US, real. And when people asked him that how does he manage all of this and how come he's so wealthy, although he's not educated, he said he doesn't need to crowd his mind with things that he doesn't need. He just needs someone who can do X, Y, Z, and they do it for him, and he focuses on what he can do, which is the skill that he has. And it was about the steel company, the US Steel. This guy, he was so damn rich, but he was really working with other people who had the education, who had the skill in this and the skill in that. And so it comes to my next point, my next issue that I really would like for us to talk about, which is mindset. There's this scarcity mindset approach, which I see a lot of Africans, showcasing, which is if I know something that can help Mommy T, I'm not going to tell her. Or if I can be an addition to Mommy T's project or her business, I'm just going to, shy away from it. Or I'm just going to walk away because I don't want Mommy T to be rich. I don't want her to be popular. It's her thing. As long as it's not me, I'm not going to be involved, or I'm not going to try and support it. And one of the things that one of my friends here told me, even here in the diaspora, amongst the Black people, sometimes there was a popular quote, when I was in Cameroon, that you black, so yeah, and I saw your heart black, But one of my very close friends, who is like my sister, when COVID hit, she got into Amazon FBA. So she was selling stuff on Amazon, face masks. And she told some of her friends that, please, if you want to order face masks, share my link. This is my store on Amazon. And they're like, why should we buy from you? So you should be rich. Yeah, exactly. So I noticed that amongst the whites or people who have the West culture, even Black people who have the West culture in them, they are more willing to collaborate. They're more willing to share ideas. They're more willing to build together than we are Black people. How does that really impact the way you see the young people in Africa nowadays gallivanting, and struggling to climb a mountain on their own?
Okay. Now, the first thing I would say is that there is a lot of power in partnerships. It's clear. You bring your energy, I bring my energy. You bring your network, I bring my network. You bring your net worth, you bring your individuality, I bring my individuality and my uniqueness. And so we can make a beautiful combo. That is the first thing. Now, the second thing is that by default, human beings are, by default and by instinct, we think that we need to survive. There's survival of the fittest. There is that innate competition, which is animalistic. You understand? It is an animalistic instinct. But we as humanity, we should realize that we are above that animal thinking. That is one. The second thing is that as a Christian, my background, I'm Christian. The Bible says that everything that pertains to life and godliness has been given to you. Now, like everything, which means that there is abundance, there is an overflow. It is left for you to go into that everything and decide what you need at whatever point in time. That's the second thing. Now, I would say that because survival and competition is a human thing, it may be more preponderant in a race, one race than another. But I want to assure you that the greed behind the individualistic nature amongst other races would be expressed in other things. Yes. The issue why it is clearer for us as Black people is because we have not evolved in business. We have not evolved. Yeah, that is it. So we are still in a remote place in our evolution in business. That is it. Because when we appreciate better what comes out from partnerships, then we are going to move. Because it is when people see that you win, I win, then of course, why would anybody not go into partnerships or help people if you see that it is a win-win and that there is more than enough for everybody?
So that's the place where we start then to break that limiting belief, to alter that mindset that it's either you or me. No, we can both have it. There's something gorgeous about competition and about partnership that people need to get. And until we get it, things will not change, unfortunately, for especially Black Africa. Things will not change.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is a total lack of awareness.
Yeah.
People are not aware of who they really are. This morning, I was reflecting on something. Now, if God created me in his own likeness and in his own image, it means that he made me to look like him and to operate like him.
Right.
And if God, in his form and in his function, could create this world, including myself, so what am I afraid of? I mean, supporting you in your endeavor or even if we are doing exactly the same thing, we cannot have exactly the same customers. Even if our business outlay looks the same, our method can never be the same. And so supporting you in your business, if I am aware of who I am, only gives me an opportunity to be more responsible to humanity. Because I always tell people, I mean, there are things that I've reaped in this life I would never know who planted them. But when I have the opportunity of sowing, I feel better about myself, because it is like I have left what will I say? I have left treasure in the ground for somebody else to reap them, because I just go ahead and keep picking. And those who planted these things, they have already faced their front. Let me talk like Nigerians. They have gone, and it is only their backs that I can see, and I do not know these people. So it is simple. Now, in the West, it can never ever be as hard, even in the Black community or among people of color, as it is in this reality where I live. It is. But on a daily basis, I try to remind myself of how blessed I am, because it is not like I do anything extra. I do just my best. It's not like I go beyond my best. But then there are things that I know people who put in the best that I think they can, but they have not had it. So referring or helping somebody in their endeavor in any way only adds value to you, the giver, or to you, the contributor. It only does, because first of all, it predisposes you to receiving. It's a law of
Exactly. I was
nature.
just going to say that, the Bible really, we are very faith oriented or very religious, but we pick our scripture. The Bible says that blessed and you shall be blessed. What do
Simply.
people really do understand the quote, blessed and you shall be blessed, or the more you give, the more you receive. God loves a cheerful giver. All these things, people, what do you think it is? It's not fine. It's not necessarily financial. It's maybe sharing a link, the link of this YouTube video, for example, or this podcast episode, for example, or sharing, I don't know, an article that you wrote, Mommy T, or sharing one of the posts from your hair, your
And
fascinators.
fascinators,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't cost you anything, but if
Nothing.
that actually leads to someone else's life being impacted, or a sale in your business, that's your blessing. That's your seed you've planted in Mommy T's life.
Honestly.
That's what people need to understand, that
You
blessing
see,
someone.
it's really sad, because if, for example, I can share your podcast with somebody, I'm actually serving as a vent, as a pipe, as a hose pipe, because I spread on both sides. If I refuse, if you do something and I stay with it and I do not share it, if I can share it, it means that I am not helping you and I'm not helping somebody who would have benefited from it. And so I become a major problem. You understand? It's like you are trying to stop God's work, and God is not happy with it.
No.
God created us for his glory. If I have a problem and I'm praying to God, and the solution of that problem can come through you, just through you. I'm not saying that you even generated a solution. You just shared somebody's link. If you do not share that person's link and I stay in that challenge, then
barrier to
you have
God's.
blocked the channel, and God cannot be happy.
No, he will not. He will not.
Because there's no way that water can go through a pipe and the pipe itself is not soaked.
Exactly.
So that is why you find some people, they stagnate, because they are hoarding things which otherwise, and such people, think about such people. How do you think that they can even think of giving out value which they generate? How? Some people tell me that, some business, you cannot just give out all your business secrets like that. And I tell them that I don't know where the business secrets came from. I did not generate these things. I did not make them. The ideas came to me. If they came to me and I worked on them and they worked, it means that somebody else needs them. That is it. I am just a vessel. It's that simple. Right. So as an issue, the two things I would say, first of all, is that we should grow in awareness, one. And two, we should always ask ourselves, because like you say, we Africans, we are very religious. I don't know if we are Christians. I cannot judge, because I'm not. There are times that I question myself. But then if you are aware of who you are, what you are, and what you are capable of doing, then the next thing that you should know is that there is an abundance. There is more than enough for everybody, for it to go round and round and round in several rounds. So it just weakens you when you think that you can hold fast to things. And when you are holding fast to things, when novel things are coming, when new things are coming out, you are losing out, because you are attached to things
there's no
are
space,
mundane and which are outdated.
Right.
So we really need to we shouldn't lose any opportunity of encouraging people to have a shift in their thinking.
Right. I
And
love that, Mommy T. I really do love that. And I would love to have you back on a whole podcast just talking about that particular mindset. I think we need to hone down, dive down on it, and really start to give some of the practical tips that people can use to first off realize that they are in a place where they need to review their mindset, their attitude, their behaviors towards a lot of things happening around them, and make them understand that some of their action may be either, conscious or unconscious, but it is affecting their own personal progress. And
yeah,
it is affecting God's plan, grand scheme
plan.
of things for
Voila, yeah.
humanity. Yeah. So yesterday we were talking, and I did mention that, um, we have a current crisis on the continent. So many young people risking their lives trying to leave the continent, thinking that there is, gold and silver over here. There is the diamonds on the streets, and they want to leave. But most of them actually don't leave the right way. I always say that before you leave your country of origin, have a plan. What's your plan? But however, one of the things that people say to me is that, oh, because you're there, you don't want others to
Mhm,
come there.
mhm.
I don't respond to that. I don't have a minute for that. Why? Because people, how can I even start to have a conversation with someone who has that kind of mindset?
Thinking, yeah.
Yeah, however, I'm thinking right now with everything that is going, and a wise man once said, never waste a crisis. There's a crisis on the continent right now, which is food crisis. Yesterday I was talking to a friend and she had sent her daughter to the corner shop to buy eggs, and her daughter came back home with one egg for 100 francs.
100%.
You did mention about Gary. Gary is the least raw food that every single household could turn to without robbing the bank or without feeling any pinch. But if
Yeah.
Gary is now a topic of conversation when it comes to feeding, then indeed there's a food crisis on the continent. Recently, I went to, 2 weeks ago, I was in Nigeria, and it was for AGM for the West African Fertilizer Association. And they were coming together to discuss the impact of Russia-Ukraine on the continent, and
Mhm.
how the ingredients that were coming from Russia and Ukraine have been blocked through, because of the crisis, the amount of imports that we import 3.6 billion worth of
Tons.
fertilizer every
Oh,
year, in dollars worth of fertilizer every year from the West. So because of this crisis and the shipping channels being blocked left, right, center, the continent has a current food crisis which is brewing. And if nothing is done, people will starve and people will die. Now, that is a brilliant business opportunity for a boom on the continent right now. With if young Africans are rushing towards agriculture, what do you think is stopping young people on the continent who are struggling, looking for white collar jobs? They think that agriculture is not their taste, is not their level. What can you say to them briefly? And then I'll tell you that they're just really sat on their bums, flushing
okay.
down
So
their own millions in
mhm.
CFA and in dollars.
If I could show you my neighborhood where I live in a farming community. It's a new layout, so most of the houses here are newly built, and the majority of the activity here is farming, which means that, or which implies, or it indicates that farming is still a thing amongst us, especially amongst the grass-field Cameroonians. And that would be just a little drop when compared to the African
Continent.
continent as a whole.
Yeah, yeah.
But now, since we are addressing it as a continent, I would say that one of the illusions is the allure from the West. Oh, we see people in shiny cars, we see people in mansions, we see people wearing expensive jewelry, having expensive handbags, leopard skin, and all of that. So
Right.
social media has really not helped us much. And
Mm-hmm.
before
I
social
agree.
media, of course, we could not see, but we could hear, right? We knew in school that the farmer's child was a poor one. He does not bring jambon to school. He does not bring chocolate. He brings fried corn and groundnut. So, first of all, it goes back to the mindset. That's the first thing. Now, the next thing is, as a person, the only thing my mother did, which was really like her job, her mainstay was farming, subsistence farming. You understand? And I am the last in a family of 6. Everybody in my family is a farmer at some level, but for me, because I don't, it's not like in fact, I don't know how to do it. And it is funny because every Saturday we had to go to the farm. It's not like it was optional. No, if you're in
The way I
primary
was
school, most
raised
of
as well. Yeah.
yes, but I never picked interest in farming. But sitting here, what I'm telling you is that the way things are going, I'm
For your
considering
farmland.
getting into farming, honestly, because my elder sister, for example, and the husband, my elder sister works at the Ministry of Education. The husband is a consultant with the World Bank. These people are exploring more than 15 hectares of land in Yaoundé.
Visionaries.
He resigned from regular work. My brother, my sister's husband, he resigned from regular work or going. He just came back from Liberia and said that it is okay. The only thing he can do for the World Bank is to be their consultant. He virtually lives in his farm.
Oh my God. Mommy T, my dad
Virtually.
was literally shutting down his company that was bringing in a lot of money, hundreds of millions in TFA. And the guy was putting everything in his plantation. He had seen this and he was building this massive palm plantation. And we were like, you crazy. But no, that dude had seen it. He
Saw
had.
it coming. And this is
Yes.
just the beginning. Now, this is the implication. This is what I think. First of all, we need models like the person you mentioned and like my family members. My brother is in the UK. He came to this country after 5 years for holidays. He spent 5 weeks. I don't think he spent up to 1 week with us. He was living in his farm somewhere in Fumbot. He with his friends together, they bought like 30 hectares of land. I mean that this guy, of course, he is that kind of a Cartier person. He is a farmer at heart. Before all of this thing erupted here, he was a farmer somewhere around well, Beba, you should know around your area. Yeah, towards Menchum. So
Yeah.
he had a large plantation. So wherever he was, whether Sweden or whatever country, he was a farmer. And so what I think is that young people, first of all, because I cannot blame young people because I am one of those people who really did not see value in farming. But then they need to open their eyes to what is happening. If
You need
somebody
to.
goes abroad and has a steady job, but comes back and folds his sleeves, put on his sneakers, and go to the farm, then there must be something. There must be value in that thing. If somebody resigns from an international job and says that, no, I am done, let me work on my farm, then there must be good coming from the farm.
Your
And so
volume.
you should understand that it must not be on a large scale. I always tell people this. Whatever endeavor you want to start a garden. If you live in a city like Douala or Yaoundé where it's not easy to get land, get tires. Use tires, cut them. We don't buy soil in Cameroon. You go anywhere and you carry soil. Come and plant green spices on the wall
Lots
of
of
your
YouTube videos with people in China where everywhere is tarred doing
beautiful.
agriculture on their balconies. There's no excuse. There's really
There
no
is
excuse.
really no
No
excuse.
excuse.
And if you do not want to be a farmer, feed yourself somewhere on the value chain of agriculture.
That's it.
Because it is the game changer. If you don't want to work on the farm, go to the bushes and buy maize and go and supply it somewhere. If you do not want to go and sell, transform it into something and sell it. If you do not want to do that, like 5, 6 years ago, I spoke with my mentor one day and he asked me, what is it in Bamenda that you can do, that you can start doing even tomorrow? And I thought for a long time, like, of course, I had a list of excuses. I do not have capital. I do not blah, 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 blah. So he asked me, do they dispose of dirt in your town? I said, of course. If you are passing by the food market, you see heaps of dirt, debris from food, vegetable, all of that. And so he asked me a simple question. Have you ever thought about making compost manure? And I was like, oh, really? So the following day, I was in the market with my daughter, and we were gathering garbage, and they were looking at, my daughter was in the first year of university, and they were looking at us like mad people. The following day was a Saturday. So every Saturday, I go to the market, I distribute bags for women to put their dead. I go later, I collect it, I come and I make compost heap. And let me tell you, I did not sell that compost heap that year because my mother wanted to explore a new piece of land. So my mother did not buy manure from anybody. That is me doing something on the value chain of agriculture.
Oh, yes.
Without necessarily tilling the soil.
Oh, yes. I love that.
So what I think is that we should first, like, I have a multi-million cousin who left school in Form 4. He does all kinds of businesses, but he says that agriculture, that is the game changer. He is like 45. So he told me that what young people do not understand is that if you want money, you have to find it in dirt. That it is in dirt that you get money. So
where do we get gold from, Mommy T? Where do we get
earth? From the
we
earth,
dig and dig, and the people who dig, they're covered in mud. But that's
you see, Sylvie, now young people don't need any encouragement. Young people don't need any encouragement to go back to the farm. No. Because by the time you buy a cup of Gary for 100 francs, you would know that it is better you go and plant cassava. Go and beg a piece of land from your neighbor and plant cassava. In 12 months, you will be selling Gary. So going to the West, when we spoke yesterday, I sat back and I'm like, okay, you've been in the West just like for 4 years, and you are thinking of coming back to Africa. If that is how people went to the West and came back, the continent will be crawling with value virtually. Right. But you see, people, I don't know why young people cannot ask themselves, they should ask themselves, why are these people not coming back? Some of them are not coming back because they have made their world out there. But I think some of them are not coming back because they really do not have much to show for the time that they have spent out there.
90%.
And they question themselves, if you are in a society, if you are in a community, if you are in an environment where there is, in quotes, lawlessness, and you can sneak your way around, and you do not want to survive, would you go and thrive in a place where there is order?
No.
Would you thrive there? You pay for everything. Everything is recorded. Everything can be traced back to you. Are you going to thrive?
No.
Everything. So why don't you just manage the disorder that we have created here and make a living for yourself? Go abroad and visit. I mean, people from the West come here to visit. It's called tourism, isn't it?
It is. There's a whole industry and families to feed based on that. Yes.
Beautiful. Yes. So you can have the best of both lives, but then you need money to make that life. And so why don't you make the money here and spend it wherever? You could go to the ends of the world. You could go to space.
I always say, Mommy T, that everyone should travel so that they can have something to say about life abroad. I want everyone to board a plane and travel abroad for a couple of weeks, and then they can truly compare and decide what they want to do with their life long term. People think that being out here every time I wish, that more Africans can be given the opportunity to see the real West. Yesterday, I was listening to a BBC podcast. Mommy T, in this country, 5th richest country in the world, that people are killing themselves, going through all sorts of back roads to come to without any plan. Children are searching through the bins at school to eat. Can you see that one in Cameroon? Children come to school in Cameroon, they go and search through the bin to eat. That's because here nobody cares. And one of the ladies who was talking on the podcast, she said that what she is seeing, the trend she is seeing, and with everything going under, universal credit, people who are on government benefits and stuff like that, who are stretched now due to the inflation, the amount of money they get doesn't really afford them that much, especially food. People are choosing in the UK whether to eat or to heat their homes.
Oh my goodness. I can imagine.
In
Can you
the
hear that?
United Kingdom, and one of the mothers said, I literally wash my son twice a week. That's if I am lucky. 2 times a week. Why? Because in the winter, the water is freezing, and so you need to put on your electric and heat it up, and it consumes electricity, and then you're thinking about the bill. So you're like, you know what? I'm not going to wash you today. I'm not going to wash you. People in this country for a month.
Extreme.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I can just go out here and gather some sticks and warm heat my water. And I'm fit and I'm fine. And the sun, like right now, it's like 35 degrees centigrade outside. It's hot.
Oh my God. These are realities that people are not aware of. They think that, life are bad. No.
And you see, the other thing is we have to train our young people to understand that where that society is right now was built by people. It's people's sweat. Yes. We at one point should take responsibility of building our own society. I mean, come on, even if it is just for dignity's sake.
Exactly. Just like China did.
Yep. Even if it is for dignity's sake, let's stay here and build because yesterday I told you that from everything that you're talking about, I am sure of my future. If we cannot have a future, if all I do today now is to think about myself, oh, I want to amass wealth, of course, I will not be in power tomorrow. Whoever is in power, if that person has not built a culture, has not built threats, has not built values, then of course this same person is going to eat all of my money and is going to waste all of the sweat that I think I'm putting into now. And so young people, in fact, Sylvie, what you are doing is very timely and it is wonderfully contextual here in Africa because young people have all the advantages that they need. They are young, meaning that they have a lot of time in their hands, a lot of time to commit errors and correct them. They are energetic.
Still living in their parents' homes. They don't have fixed costs.
I mean, they have a lot of things for free.
Yes.
They are adventurous by nature. There are things that I cannot do at this age. And the more adventurous you are, the more chances you have of winning, of losing, of winning and winning and winning again.
You lose 100% of the chances you don't take. So and it's about being adventurous. Every adventure you take, you get to discover something at the end.
They are tech savvy. They are. That is why I do not lose an opportunity to encourage young people, because to me, I am building my future. It is that selfish. You understand? It is that selfish, in quotes, to say that, okay, even if it's for nothing else, let me just be sure that I have converted one young person so that when I am going around with my cane in my old age, I'll be sure that the streets are safer.
Oh, thank you.
I will not be robbed. My assets will be in good hands and all of that. So I think what you are doing is so honorable. And I think it is. And I like your fire because you are not thinking of giving up anytime soon, irrespective of or in spite of all the challenges that seem to be rearing their heads up. So it's a wonderful thing. So farming. In fact, let me not talk about farming. Let me talk about the agriculture industry or the food industry. Is the in thing now. That is the new goal.
Listen, let me give you a list of 10 popular people who are into agriculture. You've got Bill Gates right now. You've got Oprah Winfrey. You've got Bruce Springsteen. You've got Dwayne The Rock, the popular Dwayne The Rock with the big arms. He's into agriculture. He's doing all the films and everything, but that dude knows that agriculture, that's where the gold is. You've got George Clooney. Did you know that George Clooney is into agriculture?
Seriously.
Jimmy Fallon. You've got Julia Roberts. Did you know that Julia Roberts is investing heavily into agriculture? Yeah, you've got that right. Will Smith, the dude who
Oh my goodness.
smacked Chris Rock, is into agriculture. Angelina Jolie is into
Seriously.
agriculture.
So the whole
And
of Hollywood has gone
Jerry
to the farm.
Sinfield. Exactly. These are the people whom we see and we think they are superhuman. These are people who are
Please,
putting all of their
please,
money.
please. Sylvie, please, you need to amplify this. You need to diffuse this information because it would make, most or some of these people, they serve as roles to young people, as role models, as models to young people. So let them understand that the people whom these people are becoming, they are not aware of.
Right.
They knew these people's past, and these people have understood that where they were, it's no longer working.
No, they're getting
It is
old.
not working.
No, they're not booking them for movies anymore. They need to secure their future, something that is long lasting. The soil, God made it. If
Yeah.
you plant, He will water it, and it's going to sprout.
You see, this just tells me something that we are indigenous to the earth. We are indigenous to the earth. We were created from the earth. You understand? Like Adam was created from the soil. You understand?
Right.
So we are indigenous earth beings. We are indigenous soil beings. And that is why these people have gone round the circle and they are coming back to the soil. So life is not in the skies. I mean, we see those skyscrapers, we see those birds in the air, coming to Europe, going to America. No. We respect gravity and we come back to the earth, where the food grows from. It is from the earth that food grows. I mean, people can cope without things, but basically, there is nobody who can thrive without eating and eating right.
Right.
So it goes back to agriculture. It goes back to the food industry. In Africa, it is cheap. I can give you 1,000 reasons why agriculture may not work in Africa. But I can also give you 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 reasons why it would work. Because we'll start, hello. Hello, Fubu. Is he okay?
Yeah, I turn to that. He's having a fight with his brother.
Mommy's all right.
Meeting. Okay, I'm gonna take a biscuit from the drawer. Go on.
So we could say, oh, government has taken off the subsidy on fertilizer. Oh, government is not giving tools. Oh, government is not giving this. Oh, they are not giving improved seeds. I can give you 1,000 reasons that anybody will give
Very
you.
long blame list.
Yeah, name list is always long. But I can also tell you that if I go to my father's land now, what is happening? Why do I have to? No, I just have to work with what I have. My yield may not be as good as it would have been, but if I take that yield and work on it, it is going to be improved upon, and it's going to be improved upon, and it is going to be improved upon until I declare myself a farmer. So farming is one of those things that you actually do not need much capital to start.
No, Mommy T. And in a recent video which I made, I hope that video will be published this week. I was giving a clear plan for anyone who wants to get into agriculture, how they can go from just the idea of what they want to plant right up to the point where they're actually making the money without having a piece of land. All they need is some change to buy seedlings. And in that video, I was saying that we've got a lot of untapped land on the continent, a lot of undeveloped land.
A lot
on the continent. And you just need to go around your neighborhood and find out people who have bought the land, who are abroad or wherever they are, and they're not yet exploring the land for the purpose for which they bought it. and talk to the caregiver of the land and start having those conversations. And then eventually, so I say all of those things in that video, how anybody tomorrow can start, enjoying some of this money that Angelina Jolie and the Julia Roberts and the
Can
Bill
you
Gates and the Oprah.
imagine Oprah Winfrey?
Yes.
George
Will
Clooney.
Smith. Yes.
I would imagine that these people already have too much money, and yet they are reverting to agriculture to reinvest what they already have.
Yeah.
And we are in a place where you don't pay land tax for your farm. Nobody comes to your farm to inspect whatever, however, whoever. You can just decide that, okay, this hill, let me cultivate maize here. And brasseries will come to your farm to buy your yield. It does not go through any tax system. Or you decide that, okay, I don't want to plant maize. I'm just waiting for the harvesting season. Let me go around the farming communities and buy. We are not talking about the cooperative here. No, you just go to the village and say, okay, I have come to buy yam. I've come to buy beans. I've come to buy potatoes. That is what some people do. Honestly, that's how people buy food here and take to Gabon.
Yes.
And the young people see how much money there is in it. I don't know why they don't ask themselves, these people who come to buy, what are they doing with this food? Where does it end? If they are coming every month, it means that there is something in it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you've said it all, Mommy T. Yeah, you've said it all.
It is something that we should not... just to think, the statistics that you've given me about people who are into this thing, you see, it has jolted me. It's like it's taken me out of... While we are trying to say, Oprah has done too much, Oprah is into agriculture. And even if it is even for altruistic reasons, just because he wants to help humanity, that is something. Because I don't want to... Let us imagine that he's not even thinking about the profit. She thinks that she is in a position where she has what it takes to help the world hunger. To eradicate world hunger issues.
There's high demand for food right now. And when these people sit up there and they start concocting these ideas that humanity is oversaturated, it's because of food. One thing, they're thinking, the food we have might not be enough for everyone. So let's get rid of some people.
Please, tell them that we'll go back to the farm. Immediately the first drops of rain touch the earth, we will go to the farm.
There's high demand. The population in Africa is growing so fast. We have the youngest population amongst all the 5 continents on the planet. We have limited economic opportunities already. We don't have that many formal infrastructure. So we should, like you said, go to agriculture, which is where it's unregulated, and you can start tomorrow. You don't need any pieces of paper. You don't need any bureaucracy. You just go to your farm and start farming. And it also improves food security, like you said. Oprah, perhaps they're doing this to improve food security so that people don't starve and people don't die. And the next thing is that there's so many opportunities in the value chain of agriculture. If you take farm, if you take the maize can do pap, maize can do corn flour, maize can do for beer and stuff like that. Maize can do a lot of things. So there's a lot of other things that come out from just planting one or cultivating one particular agricultural product. And the next thing is that it can be done using natural resources. You just need a seedling and you save the planet. We're complaining that the planet is in danger and everything. Our children's children might not experience the earth as we did. So what are you and I doing? So that's another reason why people should be getting into agriculture right now in Africa. And also there's potential for exports, which you mentioned.
The market is massive.
In Cameroon,
it's
Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, it's insane. It can be a source of employment.
Can the food that can we even feed Cameroon?
No.
We can't. The products from this country cannot sustain us.
Yeah.
That is to tell you how massive the market is.
Yeah. And it's good for employment as well. We're complaining that there's unemployment. So if you're able to start your farm plantation right now and employ some young people to come and work on any supply chain aspect of your plantation, that is you employing people. There's the IDPs in Cameroon, in Douala. At this moment, I'm looking for people who are going to farm on my land. I've got a land in Tico, and at this point in time, I'm looking for people who are willing to farm on that land.
Go girl, go girl. Wow. Wow, you are amazing, baby girl. You are amazing.
I'm looking for farmers to farm on that land in Tico. Yeah.
So you are now you are adding to your employee lists.
Yes. I'm feeding families. I'm changing people's lives. I'm changing people's stories. I'm giving them an opportunity to change their lineage. If other people can come and work in my plantation, save some money, start their own plantation, they pass that down to their own, lineage.
Exactly.
Yes, so
exactly.
It's a win-win for every single person. Every single person.
It is.
Including God, who has put us here not to work, pay bills, and die, but we have something more to give. And so is.
I mean, that is, you are just fulfilling God's purpose, because why did God create us? God created us to be his outstretched arm here on earth. God cannot come from heaven and employ a farmer. He can't.
No, he cannot.
This person who is looking for a job is hoping to have a job, but God cannot actually sign a work contract with you.
No, he can't. And
so you are God's outstretched arm, and that is the ultimate.
Yeah, the late Dr. Ms Monroe said something very powerful. He said that God doesn't give us money. He gives us ideas. We take those ideas and run with them. And it's in the book of Deuteronomy. And he said that you cannot have pots in your house and you're starving. You can use those pots if you have whatever you have, cook them and sell them. You have an oven you use only on Christmas Day to bake a chicken. Bake cookies in those ovens, put them in Ziploc bags and sell them. You cannot have all these things around you. I've got a plant in my house, Mommy T. If I like, tomorrow I'll start a nursery. Tomorrow, I'll take everything, put them in water. And as soon as they sprout, I put them in pots like this. I just use my brain. This is £6 British. I bought one plant. And if you look around my house, the same plant I bought for £6, I've got them in 8 pots right now. All I did was propagate them. And you just need to use your brain, put them in beautiful pots, tag them, brand them, whatever you want to do. And off you go. That's a business.
That's a business, my dear.
Social media has made life easier for us. Young people have no excuse.
No, they don't. Actually, they don't. They do not have any excuse at all, because they can afford data. But what they do with the data is worrisome.
Oh, let's talk about that, Mommy T, because that's the end of this conversation.
Yeah.
Young people that I'm trying to mentor, they complain about data and internet connection, and they attribute that to the reason why they are not financially secure and the reason why they are suffering. Can you please cast light on that as we conclude on this particular episode? How young people right now, with the current geopolitical environment in Cameroon and this whole data thing, what do you see, and how can they use their data after today to profit themselves and to become financially independent?
Okay, my dear. Now, the first problem I see there is a problem which is beyond their reach. It is true, connectivity is an issue. But if you realize, since we've had this conversation for more than an hour, there has hardly been any communication issues.
Nice.
So they need to reprioritize. I don't want to tell you the amount of money I spend on data, but it works for me perfectly.
Number one, prioritize.
Yeah, they have to prioritize. If this thing on my hair, if I need to sell it to buy data, I will not blink. Because what I'll get from what I'll use my data doing will definitely be worth more than 20 of this. So they need to prioritize. If you want to come online as a young person to learn what makeup you have to carry on your face, do that same makeup on somebody else and get money to buy more data. It is that simple. It is that simple. Now, what I do practically is that if I need to coach people or if I need to run trainings or whatever online, I make sure that I get data from more than one data company or communication network. That is to ensure that if I'm failing in one, I am hooking up to the other, because the disruptions are very common. I mean, it's like normal. So, and then the other thing is that, Sylvie, you see, young people have a lot of information, but they decide not to use it. Between midnight and 6 a.m. in this country, data is about, for MTN and I think another one, I don't know which one, data is about one quarter its price, which means that you can forego sleep. If during the day I buy a gig of data for 1,000 francs, in the night within those off hours, I will get data 2 gig for 200 francs.
Wow.
Yes. So I may decide that between the hours of 12 midnight and 6 a.m., I could gladly get 10 gigs of data if I really need to. Because at the top of every hour, or whenever the 2 gigs expire, I can keep converting 200 francs into data, onto 2 gigs of data until I get to 6 a.m. So that is why I say that they do not prioritize. Let me tell you, those young people sit up to download movies. Before a movie drops on whether Netflix or whatever, they will download it or they will watch it in or during those off hours. But if you tell them to sit and listen to a book or have a conversation with you, or they will complain that no, it is time. Oh, they would imagine that you should understand that that is when they should be sleeping. How can you be sleeping on an empty stomach, to get up on an empty stomach? So if university students, of course, maybe, well, not maybe, their finances are always limited because it depends only on handouts from their parents or from families or from friends. They have refused to, most of them have refused to generate income or revenue for themselves. But a university student normally can spend 200 francs to get 2 gigs of data and do something substantial. And then it is even good because there's no congestion in the night. Since it's off-peak period, people are resting, so the lines are fast. So you could really do much in a shorter period of time. So that is it. How did I get books? I have more than 200 books. I just downloaded. I download and I read later. I download messages messages or however, and I listen to them later. So of course, downloading is cheaper than watching live. So why can't they do that if it is that important to them? Today, maybe I can afford data, or maybe I am in a place where connectivity is even good.
I love this.
The worst, like when we had this issue, when the Northwest and the Southwest, when they were shut down from internet connection, we used to move from where we were, like 50, 100 kilometers away. We sit there, we download what we need to work with, because I thought that my personal growth and development was critical. It was crucial to my being alive. To me, it was either I was developing as a person or I was dying. There was no maintaining the status quo. So young people need to catch the fire of knowing that growth is intentional. You don't sit in a bar in the morning and when you are so high and then you come low and then all of a sudden you become wiser. No. You need to tell yourself that, okay, a bottle of Explore is 700 francs. If I were to stay off Explore for 1 week, I would have X amount of money. I will be more lucid. I will not have hangovers. So I can work even 2 extra hours. I can sleep at 10 and I get up at 4. I would have put in 6 hours of sleep. And between 4 and 6, I use cheap data to prepare myself for the day. And every day you prepare yourself for that day, you are preparing yourself for your life.
Mommy T.
If young people know how my heart beats for them,
Ah,
They will not take their own lives.
drinking from this cup of wisdom.
They will not take their own lives as simply as they are. I mean, it hurts me. It hurts
Oh,
me and it gives me some form of anxiety because I do not know where we are heading to. So, data, Sylvie, is not a problem. As a fact, right, there are people who live in places which are a bit locked out of data. I agree. Sorry, of connectivity. I agree. There are people who may not be able to afford the kind of data that I buy because my subscription is different. That is why it can be this stable. But then everybody has an opportunity of do. When I go to Yaoundé, for example, there are things that I can only do when I'm in Yaoundé or Douala because of the kind of connectivity that I have where I'll be visiting. It's very fast. I mean, there are huge bundles, they are limitless. So if there are things that I must download that I may use even for 3 months, if I step my foot in Yaoundé today, I go with my PC, I download them and I consume them because I know that I may not have that stable connectivity. So it goes back to priority. What is their priority at this point in time? I said I do caps and fascinators as a business. I have never sat in anybody's class to learn those things. All of those I learned online. Yes, I invested enough time and enough money in buying data to be able to learn, make mistakes, and then learn again. So the internet is, I mean, it's an incessant and an invaluable blessing.
resource. Hmm.
Yeah, it has its downsides, but if you do not fall, you will not go looking for the downsides. If you want to stay up, then you are on the high side of it and you are enjoying the blessings that it brings. So
Well,
rather than what
someone told me if you don't use social media, it's going to use you. If you don't use technology, technology will use you. So,
it will
like you
mess you
said,
up in a way that
priority.
that you
Yeah,
cannot understand.
yeah. Like you
So
said, priority. Yeah.
it is priority. So please, as a mentor and a coach to young people in this country, I want to encourage you. I have a 20-year-old son. He listens to me and he tells me that, Mama, some of those things that you are talking about, do you really practice them? And if you practice them, do you really believe in them? I mean, I'm talking about my own son whom I love. So, what about you, whom you are talking maybe to some strangers, people whom you may never even meet? They may just think that you are not being serious. But I need you to be patient with them because my experience as a teacher has taught me that first of all, no knowledge is useless. And then secondly, do not think that what you tell a student, the student does not hear. The student will use it when the opportunity arises, when need arises. You understand? Even if he never uses it, he will come back to you, or it will just serve as a prompt for him to go dig deeper. So just do your bit. Just do
Miti,
your
what
bit.
you
That's what
just
I'll say.
said about the student hearing is
Yeah.
so true. 2 days ago, I had a text message from my classmate that I've been trying to prompt and nudge to start a business because I feel that she's not making the best use of her resources and that she's not reaching her full potential in terms of her financial and economic well-being. And I've been talking to her since last year. And 2 days ago, she texted me and she said, I think I know the name for my business. I'm going
Beautiful.
to call my business Humble Beginnings. And my first question was, why that name? And she regurgitated what I had said to her last year
Beautiful.
in such a beautifully crafted manner. I started to cry because I felt I wanted to give up on her. And I
No.
started to cry because I became very emotional.
I know.
And I
I know
said,
that feeling.
wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't waste my time. And I almost was angry with myself that I had wasted my time. But no, the time came for the seed to germinate. And it did.
Beautiful. That
I
is it.
already planted that seed in her. And the time came and it germinated and it brought forth a beautiful brand name,
Beautiful.
humble
Yeah, that is it.
beginnings.
That is it. So you would see that it is just, and when because the energy you give out, when you know that it is an investment, you do it gladly.
Yeah.
And when you do it gladly, you are merry, you are not anxious. And when you are in that state of mind, you can always do more. There will always be room for you to stretch further. But if you look at it as work, as drudgery, as some kind of trying to project yourself on somebody, and the person does not receive it, it's like you are failing and you are
Yes.
questioning yourself, is this really what I should be doing at this time?
Exactly. It impacts your self-confidence in some
It
way.
does.
Like
It does.
I'm not good enough to impact that person, to change that person, but it's not your job.
It
Once you plant the
isn't.
seed,
It
God
isn't.
God makes the harvest. God you
Oh,
plant the seed
you
and
plant
God
the
is
seed.
going
That
to
is
take
it.
care of the
God
harvest.
takes care of the enabling environment and waters it and does
Yes.
and manures it or fertilizes it, and it sprouts at its own good time.
Right.
So it is
Oh,
just to fall back and encourage them once in a while, give them practical tips, ask, get feedback, reply.
right.
Some people get missing, and before you know it, and some people, by our nature, some people may not want to give you the credit. They wouldn't want you to know what they are doing at that time, but they are
True.
working in the background. And then someday they'll say, "Oh, if not for Coach Sylvie who said, if not for Coach Sylvie who did," then at that point they are acknowledging it, but you had already seen the end from the beginning, and you had
Right.
thanked God for him, and you had moved on to other things.
Exactly. Oh, Mommy T, I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. I really, really, I love this conversation. In fact, I
Yeah.
feel so much joy in my heart that we had it. Um, I hope that, some young people will use their data in the night to listen to this
Yes.
and
Yes,
learn
please.
from it because so many golden nuggets. I'm walking away, look at my book notes.
And look at mine as well. So you
Oh,
see,
yay!
yeah, it's mutual. It's mutual,
Yes.
Sydney. It's mutual. I mean, let me tell you something. Well, just something briefly, because I know you are.
Okay. Yes, Mommy T, before we got disconnected by technology, which lets us down sometimes, you were saying something very powerful, and I would like for you to carry on in that light.
Yes, I was encouraging young people that they shouldn't wait. The Bible says that there is time for everything. There is time to catch up, no doubt. But then you are catching up on something that you would have done earlier. That is why there is time for everything. So their lives are on a timeline.
You
I
mentioned
consider
you were a
myself,
late bloomer. Yeah.
yeah, I consider myself a late bloomer because I did not have the opportunity to know the things that I know now. And if you are doing what you are doing to them or with them now, it shortens their learning curve. They wouldn't need to go through all the pain of ignorance, of frustration, of now, my story is a very interesting one because I used to feel that there was more that I could do, but I did not even know how to begin. And to me, it was more like a curse. When you feel that there is something that you can do and you cannot do, it's like you are bound. They shouldn't let it be that way for them. That is why you have gone ahead of them. Because by chronological age, you may even be younger than some of the people whom you would be coaching or encouraging. That is a fact. But by their transformation age, by their evolution, by their calendars, God made it, if they believe in God, or they predispose themselves for it to be that way. And all you are trying to do is to cut their learning curves and make it shorter. That way, they will be able to achieve more. And they should not just say, "Oh, what do I want to do with more? I'm contented with the little that I have. I just want to grow up, get married, buy a car, buy a house or build a house." have kids, and then I die someday. No, that is not living. You
Someone said
barely
to me,
existed.
someone said to me in our ex-student group when I made a post on personal development, keep your personal development message to yourself. Not everyone wants to be developed.
Can you listen to that?
Yeah,
So that is just one person whom you know. Imagine the other 5 billion and how many people whom you've never met. What are they thinking?
exactly.
But then everybody develops, whether you are conscious of it or not. And some people develop on the negative line of the number line. Immediately, they are regressing, and they are those people who constitute a real nuisance in society. So what else can you do than reap from the benefits of being coached at a tender age, taking your life into your hands? I mean, if you were sure that my life, if every individual is sure that their lives is in their hands and they love themselves, wouldn't they want to steer their life to a direction which is pleasurable to them, which is ecstatic, which is sure, and which they are certain that they are going to be having the things which they so desire? I'm sure everybody would want that. But we have our lives in our hands because we have so given out our power. We have so grown used to making excuses and blaming others and forgetting that this life that we are, that this life that we have, we actually carry it around. Like I think it's Jane Austen, she would say that this is a time-space suit, our bodies. And this suit actually carries the substance which we are about. So we actually carry the substance that we are about. And if we are the primary custodians of that life, so we need to take full responsibility for our lives. We only blame people because we coexist with people. We are in an ecosystem that involves others. That is why we want to think about others, without which God made us whole and complete. But for us to be whole and complete, we need to contribute to making others whole and complete. And that is what you are trying to do. So young people, they have their entire life ahead of them. They have time. They have creativity. They have adventure. They are tech savvy. So they have time to make errors and recover from the errors, to fail and to stand up. They can, I mean, there are a lot of things that they can do without a care, and they will be forgiven based on their age, based on the stage in life in which they are currently.
Absolutely.
So they should all use these things for their good. They should.
Yeah, you're
Rather than thinking that,
absolutely. Mhm.
rather than
You're
thinking that, oh, at this point in time, I'm young, I can do whatever I like, I can date as many men as I care, or I can date as many women as I care, or I can, no. Rather use your youth to your advantage. Tell yourself that because I do not have a family now, I can leave Bamenda and go to Marwa and start a business. And I'll not be thinking of, oh, where will my kid go to school?
Oh,
I can leave from here and go to Fuawa, because I'm not thinking that there will be a husband that will feel, or a partner that will feel that he is not being attended to. You are on your own, and so you are more portable. You can just carry yourself like this and off you go. Why? Because you know that there will be a stage in your life where you need to become more accountable, more responsible for yourself and for others. And before that stage comes, you would have done some things that are commensurate to your age and to the stage of life that you are in currently.
absolutely
So,
beautiful. And I told my younger sister, who is studying petroleum and chemical engineering right now, I said to her, what are you doing with your life? You're 18. You're doing this amazing course. This opportunity has been given to you. Not that many women see engineering as a field, a career field for women. You have this opportunity right now. You're the second best in your faculty. What are you doing with that? Start a blog, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, teach other people. You're already one chapter ahead.
yeah.
Every single person is one chapter ahead of someone else. By teaching them what you know in your chapter 2, you are actually impacting their lives. And I said to her that the reason why I created
And
your
you are
email
actually
address,
preparing for your chapter 3. That is
that's
it.
it. And the more you learn, practice and teach something, you become an expert at it. You cannot skip any of those
stages.
Yeah. You have to learn, practice it, and teach it. She's already learning. She's practicing. Now it's time for her to teach. I said, until you teach, you will not be complete. And until you teach, then will you walk the halls of fame as per your email address password. When I created it, US 17. I knew that you have the capacity, the potential to walk the halls. Yeah. So I wanted her that every time she enters her password, she remembers that there's this accomplishment that is on her shoulders. Yeah, and she has to. And the only way to do that is not by locking yourself in as an introvert, as people say, or doing things that do not add value to anyone else's life. Nope. You have to do it by becoming more valuable than you are at the moment. And that's, if you're more valuable, it's for society at large. God's grand plan in the grand scheme of things. And so what you're saying is just, I mean, I would love to have this conversation with you all day long. I feel so empowered. All these golden nuggets you've dropped today, these amazing quotes I've written. I've got 3 pages of notes, Mommy T.
And so do I. I also have mine here. So you see, it's mutual. We rub off each other. And that is what learning does, because learning really does not have an age limit. When you see a need, you want to fill that need. You want to do something about it. You go out and you learn something, and then you correct whatever, or you meet a need. And then, of course, the more you learn, the more you would want to learn, because you will discover that there is still a lot more which you would want to know. So young people cannot ignore the opportunity that you are offering them. It's invaluable for whatever value you are asking from them in monetary terms. It is. And I would say that the sacrifices that you make for yourself, you should consider it an investment. Even the opportunity cost, the things that you forego, imagine them as investing in what you really, really want. It's just to reverse it. Do you want a beautiful life? Then, let go some of the joker, because joker is here and now. When I listen to your podcast, you're talking about
delayed gratification.
Gratitude. Delayed gratification. Thank you. That is something that young people need to learn. It is something for something. It cannot be nothing for something.
Nope. Something has got to give. Something has got to give.
And like I said, there is time for everything.
The book of Ecclesiastes.
We need to manage our timing very well. Because you ask yourself, okay, this alcohol that I'm drinking now, there will be alcohol till Jesus comes. Can I postpone the drinking of this alcohol? Do I want to keep my lungs and my liver and my kidney intact? Why are you going to school and working so hard when maybe when your first salary drops, it is going for dialysis? What is the need? There is no need.
Oh my God.
Like, you are burning your candle at both ends. At the end of the day, it melts and it gets to the middle and there will be no light. So prioritize. As a young person, think about what is healthy, what is profitable, and plan, because plant enjoyment is very sweet. I must tell you that. When you remove your money or you use your card and you go to a resort or you go to a hotel or you go to wherever, or to a supermarket, and it is coming from your account, and you slot it into the POS and the credit, they debit your account. You go home, you are satisfied. You are not pressured. You are not wondering what your father would say or your mother would say. And it is something that you had planned for, because you had taken your time and you had earned. You plan and say, okay, I'm going on a vacation. And you get to a point where you can have a vacation every day. Why? Because you are working from a place of rest. You are working from a place of rest, and it starts from now. It is doable. It is possible. It is possible because you build on what building. Compounding is excellent. If you put one foundation on top of another, you put more mortar, it becomes stronger. You can put a larger stone, you put more mortar, and you can. That is why people can build skyscrapers, because they ensure that the foundation was hard, solid. So young people should use their youth wisely, building a solid foundation on which a colossus, a gigantic building, a beautiful, unshakable life would stand. A life that will bring glory to God. That, I mean, when we think about wealth, we should think about legacy and not wealth. We should be thinking about building a legacy. Wealth is shaky. The times will move it, the breezes will blow it, the winds will trample on it or will shake it and they may crumble. But if you are thinking about a legacy, then you know that you have to dig deep, because you are investing in human beings. You are not investing in places or in people or in
Material
buildings or
things. Yeah.
material things or liabilities. You are working on human minds,
Oh,
and
Mommy T.
you are securing a future for yourself. I
Oh,
would
I
love,
love
I always
this.
do that when I'm walking on three legs, when I'm holding my cane, I can go to the market square and sit down and chat with my primary school classmate. We are not going to be afraid that we will be robbed. Nobody's going to be cheating us. I can book a flight and I go to a resort and I go to my village and I visit my grandchildren in peace, because I know that I contributed to building a sane society. I will not be guilty. I'll only be reaping the fruits of my labor.
Oh,
So
Mommy T. Oh
I
my
think
God.
you are doing your bit in a very big way. And I pray that, honestly, this is my honest prayer, because I pray that may the spirit that you have in you, may it be planted in the young people as a seed, that even if you are not the one who waters it or nurtures it or takes the weed out of it, whoever comes after you, let that person handle it with that same love, with that same tenacity, and with that same focus, so that at the end of the day, you would have done your bit. The next person, I mean, it is like a relay, and everybody at the end of the day would enjoy along that value chain. That is what it is. So that is my prayer. Sow the seed and go your way. The Bible says Paul
Absolutely.
planted, Apollo watered, and that. So Rome, like you said, wasn't built in a day.
It
Yes,
wasn't.
it
It
takes
wasn't. I
time.
mean, China used to be a dumpster for the West. Today, China is threatening to overtake the US when it comes to economic power. And the reason why they did that is because they held each other's hands and they tied the bundle. I can't do it on my own. I am so grateful that you were able to make time out to come here today and have this conversation with me so that the impact can be greater. And I do believe that even God understood this when he sent Jesus to die for our sins. He prompted Simon of Cyrene to help Jesus to lift his
With his
cross
cross.
so that Jesus can eventually hit the target, which was Calvary. So I'm
Boom,
so
boom, boom,
grateful
boom.
for
That is
you.
it. Yeah, yeah.
And I look
Boom, boom.
forward
That
to
is
this
it.
year. I'm so pumped. I want it to be a year of impact, impact, impact. I've been doing this for nearly 2 years now. I want it to grow at a bigger scale, and I cannot do this on my own. I need Simon of Syrene's, many of them. And I'm
Yes.
so grateful that you were my first guest. And I look forward to creating panels where we come together, like-minded Africans, to empower our young population. Because, like you said, it's about a legacy and a dynasty, even something that lives forever
That
and ever. And
that
if we are doing,
outlives you long
yes,
after
it's
you've gone.
exactly. So I think that we're on the right track, one brick at a time. And before we know it, we have our gorgeous pyramids that will be long lasting. So thank you so much, Mommy T. I really do appreciate you. Thank you
The
so
pleasure
much.
was all mine. I'm really, really glad. I feel honored. One would not believe that I was your teacher, and now you are teaching me. Isn't that wonderful? And you see, that is how we learn. The source of knowledge may not be important, Get the knowledge because you need it.
Right.
Get the knowledge. If a rock can teach you, get the knowledge from the rock and walk. That is it.
That's it. That's it.
So thank you so much, Sylvie. It's been my pleasure all along. And yes, whenever you think we can have another conversation, please just hit me and we'll fix time and we'll have this. I mean,
Yay.
this is about living. This is what life should be.
Yes.
This is what life should be.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you
God
everyone
bless
for watching.
you.
Don't forget to like, drop your comments. What do you think about this conversation? What are you up to? Thank you, everyone. And do take care and make sure that, like Mommy T said, bring your A game into your life this year. And by the third
A
month,
plus.
your A plus.
Plus game. Yeah, A plus. Your most excellent game.
That's
We'll
correct.
be needing that.
That's correct. That's correct. Thank you so much, everyone. And until next time, do take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, dear. God bless you. Thank you.
Bye.